Good morning and welcome to another episode of Disorder in the Court. Today, today we continue our coverage of the Adam Montgomery trial. One moment, please. Good morning, Marie. We continue our coverage of the Adam Montgomery trial. We are in day 8. We will continue most likely seeing a long train of state's witnesses. Hello, Jelly Baby. Hello, QT. Hello, everybody. Um, and I put a reminder in the chat to read my, and this is just as a reminder to people. I'm not reacting to anything in particular. I just like to remind people to read the description in my that I put on every lives. And also, I personally think, especially when witnesses come into the room and start to present themselves. Oh, Johnny's here, and it looks like Zorro is in the icon. That's really cute. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Um, we're going to see a lot of witnesses, and something I'm really conscious of is it's really hard for witnesses to come forward in cases like this. And, when a witness comes forward like this, and, they're usually subpoenaed, and now they're being subpoenaed for a really high profile trial, and they know that they're going to be, covered and live streamed by all these channels. Um, I I want my chat, let's say just by happenstance, it's my channel where they watch the coverage. I would prefer that they not see remarks about them that would dissuade them from being a witness or dissuade other people from being witnesses. Comments. So I like to keep my comments focused on, people's behaviors. Yes, I do talk about the appearance of, people like um, Adam and Kayla, but um, what I really, really prefer to focus on is behavior. And I know we're all smart enough to do that. Yeah, keep it as classy as possible. I just, seriously, I want everyone to feel comfortable, chatting here. But like, you just have to remember that whenever we're making a comment about someone and it's about their appearance, there are maybe 50 other people watching who have the same exact appearance, and they're like, oh shit. You know what I mean? So I just keep it classy and keep it focused on behavior. And I will endeavor to be a good example of this. I know sometimes I can start maybe crossing that line, but let me tell you, if you guys saw what I look like in the morning when I'm streaming this to you guys, you would be you the remarks would be, oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I really do think that there's enough to talk about with their, with what they're talking about, um and the behavior to observe, and there's so many other things we could say about them than what they, you know, disparaging their looks. So, I think you get it. We are waiting for the court to come into session. They have usually been. Oh, you don't stay glamorous 25/8? No, I do not. Yeah, exactly, Johnny. I see. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I know you guys get it. I know you guys get it. I don't think badly of anybody who
Oh, please be seated.
makes observations like that. It's just a preference for me.
You're all here already? Okay. We just need Attorney Agati, right? You want to grab him?
So it'll be very, very. it's it'll be very interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see. Yeah, it can be brutal on those bigger channels. Brutal. So I would imagine that witnesses, when they're when witnesses want to go look and see the coverage, that they might avoid those channels because they see all the it's these people aren't asking to be public figures. They came forward as witnesses, or they were subpoenaed as witnesses. And that one guy that was on the stand, it was either yesterday, the day before yesterday in the morning, man, he looked so nervous. He looked like he has obviously great public and social anxiety. And I felt bad for him because he's clearly an expert in his field and he came there to testify, but he was so nervous, man. So anyway, um it it'll be very interesting to see who comes in to the witness stand today. I have been keeping track of, the list and the list of witnesses and who has been on. And I think there's been something like 30 something witnesses so far. Um, I'll grab and show to you here. I know this is hard to see because it's the way it is. But on this list, we've seen Anthony Badero, Brendan Middleton, Brittany Bedard, Cameron Gibney, Christina Lubin, Courtney Garcia, Crystal Sori, Demetrius Saros. Then yesterday we had Dennis Cloutier, Emily Thompson. So many of the witnesses are really, really quick to come in. Yes, and please remember to hit the like button. On this list, we've seen from Katie Marin, Kayla Montgomery, Kevin Montgomery, Kimberly Frayne, Matthew Grendon, Michelle Rafferty. She's also on the defense's witness list. Nicholas Ahern and Roseanne Smith. Hey, Bogart, Janessa, everybody coming in. Lil Red, Jose Martinez. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everybody being here. On this list, we've only heard from Brian O'Leary. These are all these are law enforcement. And let's see. My StreamYard is being a little wonky. Uh-oh. Huh. I had a little buffering there. I hope you're still here with me. So in this list, we've seen Max Rayhill, Neil Penton, Rachel Radich, and they put her on that list twice. Raymond Lammy and Scott Riley. Yared was the very brief witness with the translation. Nobody from that list. Joseph Tucker from this list. and we're almost through all the witnesses. I'm sorry, all the experts. So that gives you an idea what we've been looking at. Do we know? And Caroline asked, do we know anything about Adam's parents? I saw something real briefly yesterday about his parents, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I went to sleep last night at something like, I don't know, it was like 8 o'clock, which is really, really early for me. I was dead exhausted. And so I was trying to catch up on things. But I'm also super curious about Adam's parents. Christina, you actually know, like, personally, Adam's grandmother? Wow, if that's true. Welcome everybody coming in. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. Thank you. So I have a question for the chat, since most of you are women. I keep getting emails, and it looks legit from a it is long, Johnny. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll ask you this question later. Okay, gotcha. Okay, it's just making sure we're gonna hear all kinds of ghost farting today, because they still have that set up such that it was ghost farting. Lynn, so it is maybe okay to still bring a bit of levity. Of course, levity is fine. Levity, and like recognizing what people, that people look like Sally Jesse Raphael. I don't think that's all right. I'm being asked by a women's, like a progressive women's underwear brand to,
ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
Be a nothing. You have missed nothing, Alex. You've missed not one thing. Welcome here. Oh, by the way, as a reminder, I will be on Alex's show tonight as a recap.
You're on a mistake called Travis Beach.
To recap things with her. Always love being on Alex's channel.
Watch your steps on the cords.
Careful the cords, please.
Okay, let's see who this witness is. Is that Travis Beach? We shall see. Looks like Scara knows who it is. Maybe.
Mr. Beach, if you can stand it up again and just raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony that you're going to provide this jury will be the truth and the whole truth under the pains and penalties of perjury? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You can make yourself comfortable. Have a seat. There's some water in front of you if you'd like some.
And Mr. Beach, I'm just going to remind you that it's a big room and all the jurors need to hear you. So
I think
please
you're
keep your
right.
voice up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I think you're right.
Mr. Beach, can you start by stating and spelling your full name for the record?
My name is Travis Beach, Travisbeach.
And Mr. Beach, what city and state do you live in?
I currently live in Concord, New Hampshire.
And how long have you been a New Hampshire resident?
All my life, 39 years.
You're 39 years old.
Yes, sir.
And are you currently employed?
Yes, sir.
How are you employed?
I work at EB Metals in Bow, New Hampshire.
And what do you do for them?
The studs, RC. It's construction metal.
And can you tell these jurors what kind of work you've done in your life, in your career?
Carpentry, roofing, tree work, painting. Yeah, that's about it.
Mr. Beach, what was your highest level of education?
I graduated 12th, sir.
You graduated high school?
Yes, sir.
And I want to switch gears just a bit. Back in March of 2020, where were you residing?
Congress State Prison.
Okay. In early March. Um,
I was Manchester, New Hampshire.
okay. And at some point in March, you were arrested. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Prior to that arrest, do you remember the date of that arrest?
I don't, not off the hand.
Does March 5th sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Prior to March 5th of 2020, where were you living?
I was it was Manchester, New Hampshire. I'm not sure the address.
And that's fine. You were in Manchester?
Yes, sir.
And who did you reside with in Manchester?
Barbara Ewell.
Do you know someone named Brittany Bedard?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Miss Bedard?
She's my ex-girlfriend.
And during that period that we're talking about, early March of 2020, was she your girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
And how long at that point had you known Miss Bedard?
10 years.
Did she reside with you, with Miss Ewell?
No, sir.
Mr. Beach, do you know an individual named Brendan Middleton?
Yes, sir, I do.
And how do you know Mr. Middleton?
Through we were working together at Accurate Tree Service.
How long have you known Mr. Middleton?
About 5 years.
And that's at that point back in March of 2020.
Yes, sir.
How would you describe your relationship with him? Were you friends or something else?
I wouldn't say friends. It was more of a co-worker at the time.
Okay. I want to switch gears for just a moment. You mentioned going to state prison
Yes, sir.
on March 5th of 2020. Were you convicted of a theft by deception and theft by unlawful taking back in 2019?
That's correct.
Were you also convicted of theft by deception in a 2014 case?
Yes, sir.
How about theft by unlawful taking in a 2016 case?
I believe I was incarcerated at that time.
Okay. Turning to this case, do you know someone named Adam Montgomery?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And how long have you known Mr. Montgomery?
Since he was 17 years old.
17. Would you recognize him if you saw him today?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach this witness?
Yes, you may.
Mr. Beach, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 101.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
recognize the individual depicted in this image?
Yes, sir.
Who do you recognize this to be?
Adam Montgomery.
The same Adam Montgomery you've known since you were 17?
Yes, sir.
And back in early March of 2020, February into March of 2020, had you recently reconnected with Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, sir.
And how did that happen?
I was at the mall in New Hampshire, and I was at the food court, and Adam was there with his girlfriend, and that's how him and I started talking again.
Do you remember his girlfriend's name?
Kayla.
And at some point after that interaction that you had with him at the mall, did he contact you requesting your help with something?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell the jurors what the nature of that communication was?
He asked me if I could rent him a U-Haul, and I said yes.
And do you recall when he contacted you
For the U-Haul,
for the U-Haul?
later on during the day.
I want to back up for just a moment. Back in March of 2020, did you have a Facebook account?
Yes, I did.
And do you recall what your Facebook account, the name of that Facebook, your name on that Facebook account was?
Travis Beach.
Did you have,
Or
were you friends with the defendant on that Facebook account?
yes, sir.
Step to the mic, sir.
And so when he contacted you and asked you to rent him a U-Haul, what did you do?
I didn't hesitate. He's a friend. I wasn't thinking of anything negative. I was at his apartment. I saw everything packed up. I put one and one together, thought it was two, but it wasn't.
Okay. And let me stop you there, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Middleton. You said you were at his apartment and you saw things packed up.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember where his apartment was?
Union Street, I believe.
And that's here in Manchester?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when you were at his apartment?
2020.
Were you at his apartment with Brittany Bedard, with Miss Bedard that you mentioned?
Yes, sir, I was.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
So, Mr. Bedard, sorry, Mr. Beach, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 55. Do you recognize the individual depicted there?
Adam Montgomery's son.
Okay. And you mentioned that Miss Beach was with you during that interaction.
Yes, sir.
Does this accurately reflect your memory of his son that day that you went to the apartment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you just read the date at the bottom of that image?
Sunday, March 1st, 2020 at 6:02 p.m.
So having that in mind, does that refresh your recollection as to the actual day that you went to the defendant's apartment on Union Street?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any discussions with the defendant when you went to that apartment street?
We had multiple. Yes, sir.
Specifically with respect to the rental of a U-Haul van?
I'm sorry.
Specific to the rental of a U-Haul van?
Yes,
what were
sir.
those discussions that you had with the defendant?
We did. What were the discussions?
What did he say to you?
He asked me to rent him a U-Haul. He needed to move stuff, and yeah, that's it.
And you wanted to help, it sounds
Yes,
like.
sir.
Did you help him, and did you in fact help him rent a U-Haul?
Not per se myself. I got somebody to rent him a U-Haul. So in aspect, yes, sir.
Okay. And I want you to walk us through that. You said you got someone to rent him a U-Haul.
Yes, sir.
Who is that someone that you're referring to?
Brendan Middleton.
And the same Brendan Middleton that at that point you'd known for 5 years?
Yes, sir.
And so this wasn't the same day, this was a separate day. Can you walk us through getting that U-Haul with Brendan Middleton?
I myself didn't have a license at the time. So I asked Brittany, Brittany Bedard, to get the U-Haul, and she couldn't. So we had Brendan Middleton rent the U-Haul because he's the one that had the license at the time.
The day that you got the U-Haul, where were you staying? Where were you sleeping that day?
At the time, at Barbara Yule's house.
At some point during that period, did you go to the Econo Lodge and stay there?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall how many nights you stayed there?
One night.
Do you know whose name that room was in?
Pretty sure it was Brittany Bedard's.
And did the defendant also stay at that hotel with you?
Yes, sir.
Separate room or same room?
Separate room. He was on the first floor and I was on the second floor.
So you're staying at this hotel. At what point do you go and get the U-Haul for the defendant?
It was later on during the night. It was like it was dark. It was dark out, so 8-ish.
And can you tell the jurors who you went with? Who accompanied you to get the U-Haul?
Myself, Brittany Bedard, Brendan Middleton.
Okay. And where did you go to get that U-Haul?
the U-Haul place on South Willow Street here in Manchester, New Hampshire.
South Willow Street.
Yes, sir.
What did you do after getting the U-Haul, Mr. Beach?
There's a gas station right next to the U-Haul place. We stopped there, put gas in it, and then we went back to the Econo Lodge.
When you say we went back to the
I'm
Econo
sorry.
Lodge,
Myself, Brittany Bedard, and Brendan Middleton.
and what did you do when you returned to the Econo Lodge?
We did drugs at the Econo Lodge.
Yes.
Mr. Beach, when you say we did drugs,
Yes,
who is
sir.
the we that you're referring to?
Myself, Brittany Bedard, Adam, and Kayla Montgomery.
And what drugs are you referring to? What kind of drugs?
Cocaine.
Is that crack cocaine?
Yes, sir.
And, at some point during that time, while you're doing drugs, did you exchange keys?
Yes, sir.
Did you provide any U-Haul keys?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that interaction. Can you tell the jurors where you were when you gave him the keys and what specifically he told you?
Myself and Brittany Bedard gave the keys to Adam Montgomery, which he was staying at the Econo Lodge on the first floor. After that, Adam Montgomery and myself went outside to smoke a cigarette. He was pacing back and forth. He said he effed up, and I asked him what he meant, and all he could say and repeat was he effed up. And I'm not sure.
And you said he repeated that.
Yes, sir.
How many times did he repeat?
4 or 5 times.
When you say act, did he actually say the word?
Yes, sir.
What did he say? Can you tell the jurors?
Am I allowed to say? I fucked up.
He repeated that
Yes, sir.
multiple
I
times.
apologize.
It's okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did you ask him to clarify?
I did. And he did not.
Did he say anything when you asked him to clarify?
All he kept saying was that I fucked up.
Where was Kayla during that conversation?
Kayla was in the first floor at the Econo Lodge with Brittany.
And I think you said this already, but at that point, when you went out to smoke the cigarette, you'd already given him the U-Haul keys.
Correct.
At any point during your time at that Econo Lodge, did you see the defendant drive the U-Haul?
I did not.
At some point, did you go back to your own room with Miss Bedard?
All right. Yes, sir.
And prior to going back to your own room, had you seen him drive the U-Haul at all?
No, I did not.
Was the sun out when you went back to your own room, or
No, sir. It was still nighttime.
it was nighttime?
Yes, sir.
And do you know what the defendant did with the U-Haul?
I don't.
Did you attempt to get in touch with him the following day about the U-Haul?
No, sir.
Do you think seeing those your Facebook messages would refresh your recollection on that point?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
So, Mr. Beach, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as
Yes,
State's
sir.
Exhibit 139.
Yes, sir.
Will you take a look at the second page of this document and just look up when you're done? So let me ask you this while you're reviewing. Do you recognize what that is?
No, sir.
So at the top of the page, does it say something there?
Meta platform businesses record?
Meta platform business records.
Yes. Sorry.
Are you familiar with Meta?
No, sir.
All right, so let's look on. Does it say what the service is there?
Facebook.
Okay. And then halfway down the page, does it say first and last name?
First name Travis, middle name is blank, last name is Beach.
Okay. And I want to talk about the specific records.
Yes, sir.
If I can have just a moment.
Yeah. Did you notice he asked him if he knew about Meta? How many people actually know that Meta is now the name of Facebook or this
I'm gonna
company
ask
that
you to
owns
review
Facebook?
Page 139, and I'm going to point you right here. If you can start there, and then this is front and back, so you just go through.
Would you like me to read it out loud? Or?
No, just to yourself.
Okay.
And so I'm going to draw your attention to right here, this message.
Right.
So having reviewed that, does that refresh your recollection with respect to whether or not you reached out to the defendant about the U-Haul?
I mean, it's right. I don't remember it, but it states right there. So yes.
All right. And I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 140.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just going to ask you to read that top message.
Out loud.
Nope, to yourself. And is that the same message you just read on your?
On the display. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So with respect to these messages, are they fair and accurate in terms of the messages that you exchanged with the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I move to strike what's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 140 and mark full and publish to the jury.
Any objection?
140 is the communication as opposed to the certified records.
Right.
No objection to 140.
The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit. It may be published.
Okay. I'm going to take these back.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask that you hold on to this because we're going to go through it. So I'm going to put the exhibit that's in front of you, States Exhibit 140, up on the screen behind you. And I'm just going to ask that you look back and take a look at what's on the screen, the TV screen behind you. Other than the little red sticker at the bottom, is that the same image that you have in front of you?
Yes, sir.
And so you can refer to the image in front of you, but I'm just going to ask that you identify a few things. Starting with the top message, can you tell us who the sender of that message is? What's the name of the individual? It says next to author.
Travis Beach.
Okay. And that's you.
Correct.
Can you tell us when that message was sent? And it's right below the author's name.
March 4th, 2020 at 1947.
And do you see where it says UTC?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with Coordinated Universal Time, Mr. Beach?
No, sir.
Fair to say, though, it's not Eastern Standard Time.
Correct.
Okay. And can you tell us what you wrote? The slide immediately, or the message that says body.
Bro, what U-Haul did you drop it off at? Because he just got a text saying the van was supposed to be back at 2, so please let me know. WTF is going on?
And after you sent that message, did you immediately send another message? Can you go to the next where it says body?
ASAP.
So if you can refer to the message below, can you tell us who the author of that message is?
Facebook.
Okay, and is there a specific number attached to that
Next to Facebook.
next to Facebook?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what that number is? Can you read it for us?
100009078885803.
Okay, and you initially said this was your communication with the defendant, Adam Montgomery. Did that used to have a name? When you made those messages, when you communicated with the defendant, did his Facebook account have a name?
Adams.
Adams.
Yes, sir.
What was the name of his Facebook account?
Adam Montgomery.
Okay, and that's no longer there. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you can go to when that message was sent, just below the author. And if you can read the date and time of the response.
3/4/2020, 1947.
So if you can go to the next message
I'm
where it
sorry.
says sent.
You want me to read the number again?
No, not the number, the time where it says sent under the Facebook author. So the next line down from that.
000820.
Okay. And what's the date associated with that time? And I have it up behind you if you need to refer to that.
3/5/2020.
Okay. And if you can refer to the actual body of the message that you received from the defendant, can you read that for us?
Please don't message me stuff like this on Facebook again.
Okay, you've skipped one message. If you can go up to
I'm
the message before that.
I dropped it off on Willow, my word.
All right, and let's go to the next message. If you can tell us that's also from the defendant, can you verify that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's the time of that message?
000844.
And that again is UTC.
Yes, sir.
And same date as the last message. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, now let's go to the body of that message. If you can read that to the jurors.
Please don't message me stuff like this on Facebook again.
Do you know why the defendant didn't want you messaging stuff to him about a U-Haul rental?
No.
And let me back up. You said earlier you didn't know what he was using this U-Haul for.
Correct.
Did you ask him?
No, sir.
Why not?
Honestly, I didn't think I had to because I saw all his belongings packed up, and during the day, he said he was having problems with DCYF. So I kind of figured that he was moving.
And were you aware that he'd just moved into that apartment?
No, sir.
Did you ask Kayla what the U-Haul was for?
I wasn't allowed to talk to Michaela.
Why weren't you allowed to talk to Kayla?
I didn't ask.
Mr. Beach, did you ever meet a child named Harvey Montgomery?
No, sir. No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. No additional questions for you, sir.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Beach.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jamie Brooks and I represent Mr. Montgomery. You indicated on direct examination that you reconnected with Adam. I believe you said it was February of 2020.
I didn't say February.
Do you know when it was?
Honestly, no.
But it was at the Mall of New Hampshire,
Correct.
food court specifically.
Correct.
Fair to say that it was prior to these March events.
Yeah. Yes.
And Kayla was with Adam at the food court.
Correct.
Were any kids with Adam and Kayla at the food court?
They're two sons.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, no additional questions for this witness. Ask that he be excused.
All right, any object? All right, you may step down. You are excused, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes?
Well, I bet he's glad that's over. Let me really quickly read a couple. That was Travis Beach, Chopper. That was Travis Beach. He's the guy who helped Adam rent a U-Haul, and now they're going to the pause view. I don't know, they can't. What is it that you want me to explain? Besides what So I'm going to read this article that Allie sent because it's very important, you guys. Listen to this. Witness in Adam Montgomery murder trial spooked by TV camera refuses to testify. One of the witnesses in Adam Montgomery's second-degree murder trial for the 2019 death of his daughter. Sorry. Okay. Of his daughter refused to take the stand this week, citing safety and privacy concern. The witness had been coordinating with an office in the New Hampshire Department of Justice as directed by a subpoena, and she was slated to appear at a court on Wednesday. She balked when she realized TV cameras were broadcasting the high-profile case, according to court records. I'm going to have to look that up, the court record.
So watch your step on the cords there, and if you could just remain standing when you get to the podium, please.
The witness worried about her face being televised amid an ongoing restraining order matter. So the court prepared to take extra safety precautions, and both the prosecution and defense agreed not to ask her about current residence. But so they were trying to make precautions, but it still didn't
Ms.
happen.
Hilbert, as we're being recorded here today, would you please go ahead and state your full name and spell both your first and your last name for the record?
Tara Hilbert, TaraHilbert.
Thank you, Ms. Hilbert. And what town are you living in right now?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
How long have you lived in Manchester?
Almost 8 years.
Okay. And where do you live? What street?
Orange Street.
On Orange Street?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do for work?
Pretty much the property manager for over there.
Okay. And when you say the property manager, how many buildings do you help manage?
Just for that property, there's 4 buildings on that property. And then there's other properties elsewhere, but
Okay. So do you help manage the other properties elsewhere as well as the 4 there?
if the landlord needs help, yes.
Okay. How long have you been doing that?
5 years? 4 years? 5 years?
4 or 5 years? And how far did you go in school?
10th grade.
10th grade. All right. What are some of the other things that you will do for the landlord to help out for those 4 properties or for properties elsewhere? Can you kind of describe what some of your duties are to the jury?
I will help maintenance clean out apartments if they need it. Clean before tenants moving in, I will completely finish cleaning it, I'll meet with new tenants before moving in, give them keys. If anybody needs any help, have any questions, they usually come to me and I take care of it.
I'm about to say, do they call you, or sometimes they usually even maybe knock on your door
Yes.
since you're right there?
Yes.
Do you know an individual by the name of Dennis Cloutier?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know him?
That is our maintenance man.
Big beard?
Yes.
All right. How long have you known him?
8 years.
And with regards to the properties that you talked about, you take care of, is one of those properties 644 Union Street?
Yes.
Mr. Cloutier, do you know whether he has done work there at 644 Union Street?
Yes.
If I could approach, please, Your Honor.
Silver, I'd like to go ahead and show you 2 exhibits.
I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't catch her name because I was kind of in the middle of talking, so I apologize. I think she's the property manager at.
Mark states 136 and 137. And just ask generally whether or not you recognize those images.
Yes.
What do you recognize them to be?
This is my building that I live in.
Okay.
This is the corner of Orange and Union, and then the other property of Union Street.
All right. I see that's all on 136. And what about 137?
That is my back parking lot.
Okay. Back parking lot for your building. Is it also the back parking lot for 644 Union?
Yes.
I'm going to leave these up here with you for a moment. But I'm also going to project them up onto the screen. Specifically looking at exhibit 136, if you could just look onto the screen for a quick minute, Ms. Hilbert, just to confirm that's the same image.
Yes.
All right. And you went ahead and said that there was, well, could you please point out where 644 Union Street is in this, kind of the intersections?
This is Orange Street.
Mhm.
This is Union.
Okay.
This is 644.
So that's 644. The building that's right on the corner of Orange and Union, is that also one of the ones that you manage? Okay. And what about the building just to the right? If we go, that'd be west on Orange Street there. Yes. Is that also one of the properties that you manage?
That's my building.
That's your building. Okay. With regards to a person by the name of Adam Montgomery, do you know who that is? All right. And who's that?
It was a old tenant of ours.
Could you please point out what was the building that Mr. Montgomery was staying in? That one there? All right. I'd like to switch now to exhibit 137. I've got that on the screen. I just want to confirm, if you would please, that what you're looking at on the screen matches 137 that's in front of you on the desk. Okay. And from this angle, could you please point out where Orange Street and Union Street are again, that same intersection?
This is Orange Street.
Mhm.
All the way up, and that's Union.
So the back side of that 644 Union Street, which building is that? Okay, the one looks like a porch built off the back.
Well, these are 3 separate numbers: 640, 642, 644.
Oh, okay. Those units inside those buildings, are they all accessible from the back as well as from the front?
Yes.
Right. And that, could you please point out the parking lot that's used by the people who live in that building?
Right here.
Right there. Okay. And with regards to your building, is that the building on the far left-hand side of the screen, still on this side of Orange?
This one, yes.
That's the one. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Hilbert. Please feel free to have a seat. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
With regards to Adam Montgomery, you also know an individual by the name of Kayla Montgomery.
I do.
How did you first meet Adam Montgomery?
I don't know our first interaction. I remember seeing him here and there. And then I feel like it had to do with the kids because I had a child, their children's age.
Mhm.
And it kind of just went from there.
With regards to, you said you had a child the same age as their children's age. How many children did they have that you saw?
At that time,
Yes.
2.
2. Did your child and their children play together sometimes? And where would they play?
In the parking lot.
The same one that we see here on exhibit 137?
More at the parking lot on my side,
Okay.
but yeah.
At the time, Adam Montgomery, what was he doing for work? Do you know?
He was not working at that time that I'm aware of.
Separate from that, did you ever visit him inside his apartment?
No.
Okay. Where would you interact with him?
In the parking lot, my porch, and he was in my house a couple times.
And why was he in your house a couple times?
We were feeding him, Kayla, and the kids.
What time of year was that?
Summertime.
Something like a grill out or something?
Yes.
All right. Did he ever say anything to you about having a daughter by the name of Harmony?
He did.
Okay. What did he say about Harmony?
Just that he had a daughter named Harmony and that he hadn't seen her in a couple of years because her mother took her back to Massachusetts.
That's what he told you.
Yes.
And when would this have been that you had this conversation with him? What year?
2020.
2020?
Yep.
All right. Would you have conversations with him also in, let's say, to 2021 as well?
Yes.
With regards to, let me just say this. Did he ever say specifically where Harmony was with her mother?
I want to say it was Lowell,
Okay.
Lowell, Mass.
All right. That's your memory?
Yeah.
And when he was living next door, I'm sorry, not next door, but he was living in Union Street and you were over on Orange Street, right? So it's not technically next door.
To me, it's next door, but yeah.
Okay. Right. With regards to the residents at Union Street during the time period that he was living there, how would you describe those neighbors? Were they average? Were they quiet? Were they loud?
I didn't see them the first 6 months of them living there.
Oh, and by them you mean
Adam and Kayla. Oh, is
okay.
that what we were talking about?
Well, yeah, let me revise the
Sorry.
question. That's all right. That's all right. That's on me for not asking a clear question. So you didn't see them for the first 6 months. Let me go with that for a minute.
Yeah.
All right. And how would you get into their apartment from this photo that we're looking at here?
Can I stand up?
Yes, if you could.
So their back door is like right there.
Okay. So I see you're kind of pointing to the bottom left of that stair structure on the top right-hand side of the, or top right-hand, let's say, quadrant of the image. Is that right? Would you say that's the top right area of that photo?
To me, it's left, but
Top left. Okay. Top left of the stairs. Okay. But overall, if I looked at the whole photo, would you say it's the top right-hand side of the photo?
yes.
All right. With regards to the noise, was there ever any noise complaints in those buildings
From other tenants, yeah.
from other tenants?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever receive one from Adam Montgomery?
Not that I recall. I think everybody stayed away from him. They just stayed.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase the question, Ms. Hilbert. So with regards to that particular building, did you ever respond to any sort of noise complaints at that building?
No.
Okay. And I mean 644 Union Street, that building?
No.
All right. And let me ask, with regards to Adam Montgomery, did he ever tell you where they were living prior to them living at 644 Union?
Yeah, they told me that they had stayed with
Sustained. Rephrase the question, please.
Hearsay.
Okay. What, if anything, did Adam tell you about the location of where he had been living prior to him coming to be with you?
I knew about the FIT program they were in. And then
Did he
living
ever
in
say about any other residence he lived in before FIT?
a car?
A car. Thank you. I'd like to ask a few questions with regards to Kayla Montgomery. Did you have conversations or communicate with her as well?
Yes.
And I'm not going to go into the substance of what those conversations were, but what were the ways that you would communicate with each other?
Sometimes through Facebook Messenger, other times on my porch, parking lot.
In April of 2021, at any time, did you take Kayla away from the Union Street apartment?
I did.
Why?
Because Adam had beat her pretty bad.
How did she look when you saw her?
Really bad.
And when you say really bad, can you describe where you saw, I'm sorry, did you see any injuries on her?
I did.
Where did you see those injuries?
Her eyes, her nose, she was covered in blood.
Where did you take her?
To a hotel in Hooksett.
When was the last, did she have anybody with her when you took her to the hotel in Hooksett?
Her two boys and the little girl that she had just had.
The baby? Later on, did the Montgomerys, both Adam Montgomery and Kayla Montgomery and the children move out of that apartment?
Yeah, they got evicted.
Okay. Were you a part of the clean out that was done on that apartment?
Was not.
Who would have come in to do that clean out?
Dennis.
And when a clean out is done of the apartments, when you manage them and the ones that you've seen, what's the sort of work that gets done on those apartments?
Pretty much just throw everything in trash bags, and I specifically put it on the outside porch, and Dennis will come pick it up with the trailer and take it to the dump.
What about with regards to any of the sort of appliances inside? Are appliances changed?
Yes.
And what's the typical turnaround time for a new renter to come in?
It all depends how damaged the apartment is prior. Sometimes it'll take over a month to fix the damages.
Once the apartment is ready to rent, usually what's the time period between that and when a new tenant would move in?
I'd say a week to 2 weeks.
Okay, so a week to 2 weeks assuming the apartment's okay, that's the turnover time.
Yeah.
Let me just have a moment, please, Your Honor.
Wow.
Okay, Ms. Hilbert, thank you very much. Those are all the questions that I have. I believe defense counsel may have a few.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hebert, you testified about a conversation with Adam where he indicated that Harmony was with her mother and you thought perhaps Lowell.
Yes.
And that conversation came up in the context of him talking about missing her, right? And he sort of asked, well, where is she? And that was his answer.
Yes.
Now, you also talked about seeing Kayla with black eyes,
Yes.
and you're pretty emotional about that, right? Because you and Kayla had become very good friends.
Not just that.
Oh, right, of course. But one of the reasons was that she was quite dear to you.
Yes.
And over the course of the time that she moved in, you didn't really meet him for about 6 months, but then when you met him, you and Kayla became good friends.
Slowly, but yes.
And during that, after Kayla was arrested, you contacted her in jail.
Yep.
And you remained good friends with her.
For about a month, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. No additional questions.
You may sit down.
Thank you.
The witness to be excused, please.
Any objection? No objection. Witness is excused.
That was important testimony, you guys, because she testifies.
Next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, the state would like to call Ms. Jessica Gearing.
Jessica Gearing is the next witness, but she's testifying that after that Adam talked about Harmony as somebody who was still his daughter, but is living with her mother in Lowell, Mass. And
Please go up right to the bench and once you're
So that corroborates the lies that he had been telling. And then the very emotional testimony about witnessing Caleb after her abuse.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Guerin, if you would please go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat.
And yeah, I'm glad that Elaine didn't attack her.
And Ms. Guerin, as we're being recorded here today, would you please go ahead and state your full name? Oh, I apologize. Did I leave some photos up?
Oh, maybe it's not. I'm so sorry. I thought I got it all. I'm shutting it up right now.
Turn that thing off, lady. Turn it off. Don't.
Is it off or in mute?
I'm sorry. I don't know. It's a new phone. I'm so sorry. I thought I had it off all the way.
Well, we will try to make our testimony quick, but we do need to have it in mute, please.
Yep, I'm doing it.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Guerin.
So sorry.
That's okay. If you would please go ahead, since we're being recorded here today, would you please state your full name, spell both your first and your last name for the record?
Jessica Guerin, Jessica Guerin.
And Ms. Guerin, are you a New Hampshire resident?
I am.
How long have you been living in state?
About 13 years.
Well, 13 years.
I'm just gonna I'll ask both of you, please keep your voices up. It's a big room. All the jurors need to be able to hear you.
Ms. Guerin, let me ask you, you said you've been living here about 13 years?
Yes.
Okay. With regards to that, what city do you currently reside in?
Manchester.
And how long have you been living in Manchester?
About a year.
How far did you go in school?
I'm still in school.
Okay. What are you studying?
Psychology.
Okay. And where are you studying psychology?
UNH.
UNH. And how much longer do you have to go on your program?
About 3 years.
And let me ask you, what sort of work have you had up until this point?
I've worked as a debt collector. I've worked in drug and alcohol rehabs, Dunkin' Donuts.
All right. You said you've worked in drug and alcohol rehabs. I'd like to ask, did you ever work at a location in a rehab center called Granite State Recovery back in May of 2021?
I did.
And what were your job duties there?
I was a recovery support specialist. So when clients would come in, they were usually pretty emotionally in the air. So I was the person that kind of helped keep them level-headed and stay.
Okay.
I would run groups also.
Did you ever meet, and separate from that, I'd like to ask, did you ever meet an individual by the name of Adam Montgomery?
I did.
All right. And I'd like to go ahead and show you what's been marked Exhibit 101. Do you recognize this person?
Yes.
And who's that?
Adam Montgomery.
Adam Montgomery, the person that you met in May 2021?
Correct.
You also know an individual by the name of Shane Perkins.
I do.
Okay, and how do you know Shane Perkins?
It was somebody that I dated that was a friend of Adam's.
Was that back during this same time period of 2021?
Correct. It's right when I met Adam.
At the time, where was Shane living?
At one of the facilities.
Okay, and with regards to Adam Montgomery, do you know where he was living back then?
Yeah, the same house.
Same house? And where was that house? What city?
Auburn Street. I think it was 241 Auburn Street.
Oh, right here in Manchester.
Correct.
All right. Did you ever have a conversation with the defendant, or generally, did you ever talk with Adam Montgomery about children or his children?
Yeah, we used to have quite a few in-depth conversations.
All right. How many children did he say that he had?
So for the most part, I only knew of the two boys. At one point, he mentioned having a daughter, but it was very quickly and brushed off.
You say very quickly and brushed off. What do you mean by brushed off?
He kind of like, he just changed the subject as fast as he could.
Okay. Do you ever remember having a specific conversation with him about his daughter? And by this, I guess I want to ask, first of all, do you remember where this conversation was, where it took place?
Yeah, actually, it was right at the corner of Union Street and Auburn Street. at
Okay.
Dollar Deluxe, I believe. I was sitting outside.
All right. And who were you with when you were outside?
Originally, I was just sitting by myself waiting for Adam.
Okay. And waiting for Adam?
Yep.
Okay. And did he join you?
Yep.
All right. And at some point, were you waiting for anybody else while the two of you were there?
Not really. That was a little muffled. So Shane had been having a really bad day and he was sleeping, and I was messaging back and forth with Adam, waiting for him to come out so I could give him some flowers and a card that I had given. So that way, that when Shane woke up, he would have it there.
Oh, okay. And when you were talking with Adam, had you already dropped those things off? Had you already handed those to go in for Shane?
Not quite. He was sitting with me. Like we were just kind of, actually, we sat in my car for a good hour and a half talking.
Okay. And during that conversation, did you talk specifically with him about a daughter by the name of Harmony?
He never specified a name. He had mentioned that he had 2 boys and a daughter, but he had dropped the daughter off at her mother's in Mass somewhere, and just kind of changed the subject as fast as possible.
You said I want to make sure I got that right. And you said that he told you that he dropped off his daughter at her mother's in Mass, and does that mean Massachusetts?
Massachusetts, yep.
All right. And then you said he quickly what?
Brushed off the I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but the conversation switched very rapidly.
If I can just have a moment, Your Honor.
I think he's trying to elicit a specific thing that Adam might have said to her.
Let me just ask you, Ms. Karen, when was the last time that you talked with Adam Montgomery?
Actually, I was just looking at my messages a couple days ago I think it was like March of 21.
So it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Karen. I don't have any further questions for you. Defense counsel may have a few.
Thank you.
Good morning. I have no questions.
You may sit down.
So they're establishing that Adam has told the same lie to a number of people about his daughter, because remember, he has conceded to moving her after the death. So now we know he's a liar and an abuser for sure. We've seen, evidence and testimony from multiple people. The woman yesterday who drove them to the methadone clinic witnessed the aftermaths of abuse. I think it was a son, the third child, Caroline. You mean the youngest one, the one that they conceived in the fit shelter? Yeah, Johnny Watts.
We can approach.
Oh, Johnny, sorry. I didn't mean to say. Yes, Watts is definitely a monster. Oh, they're doing a little sidebar. So the bottom line with that article I was reading is that the witness had an active restraining order situation going on. I don't know if it was, it's a temporary restraining order and it isn't permanent yet or whatever. But the witness was afraid to be shown, by the cameras. And so I think they're trying to figure out a way to get the witness back there. They had made all kinds of arrangements in the court to not show her face, not show her on camera while she was testifying, but it still spooked her. She was intimidated by all the cameras. So, I mean, and that's that's what a lot of us have a hard time wrapping our minds around as we're watching these trials, is that so many other people get targeted as a result of abuse. And there's so many things to think about that we wouldn't normally think about, right? And imagine, being in the middle of your own abusive relationship. Oh, it's a girl. They had a girl. Thank you for correcting me. Apologize for that. So anyway, imagine, being in your own abusive relationship, and there are these.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we see our next witness, this is a good time for the break. It's a little bit earlier than usual, but we'll take our break now, and then we may be able to go through lunch. We have a couple of matters that we have to deal with now. So why don't I give you your mid-morning break now? Don't talk to each other or anybody else. Don't do any independent research. Don't look up anything online, and we will see you hopefully in 15 minutes or so. Like I said, there are a couple of things, so maybe a little longer, but we'll get you back in here as soon as we can. All right. All rise for the jurors, please.
No, they have matters. So it looks like we might hear another motion being argued. So we should stick around and look and see what they're about to argue about. I'm going to try to look at the docket.
Before you, well, can we just, you may be seated.
So I think one of the reasons that they focus on that area when they are pausing is because they're also showing that Adam is not there. I'd like to think it's passive aggressive shade by the court camera. See, he's not there again. Anyway. So imagine being in the middle of an abusive relationship and you're trying to get away from that person, and then you're called to testify in a major high profile case. So that person now knows where you are and knows what you look like now or whatever. I mean, it is incredibly, incredibly intimidating. And those are the kinds of things we have to think about, is that these witnesses are going through they have their own private journeys, their own private, successes and failures and things that they are worried about. And now they have to testify in front of, potentially millions of people eventually as more of this trial gets shown. Right. So, yeah. So after witnesses testify, they can stay in the gallery, but unless they are not released as a witness. And there have been at least 3 or 4 witnesses so far. It looks like we're not going to be hearing this matter that they were going to be talking about. There have been about 4 witnesses that have testified and the defense has not released. So they can't stay in the courtroom. They have to stay out of the courtroom because they are not released as witnesses. So let me go back to see if I can read more of this article, see if there's more information in it. So this article is now quoting the witness we were just talking about. When I came in to talk to you guys, there was no mention of anything being videoed or anything like that, she wrote, according to a redacted court filing. I'm sorry, but I cannot do it, she added. I understand if you have put a warrant out for me, but I'm not putting mine and my children's life on the line. Wow. The lead prosecutor, Benjamin J. Agati, filed a motion Thursday asking the judge to issue a material witness warrant to have the witness arrested. It's not immediately clear whether such a warrant will be issued. Court records suggest the judge granted Agati's motion, but Agati told the Globe late Thursday he believes the order is being vacated. He declined to comment further. Interesting. After the jury was excused for the day and most news reporters had left the courtroom Thursday, attorneys for the prosecution and defense spoke in hushed tones with Judge Amy B. Messer. The details of their conversation at the bench were unclear, but included references to a warrant and the possibility of vacating an order. The whole episode with this witness illustrates the intense spotlight on this closely watched trial, which is nearing, excuse me, the end of its second week and expected to last weeks longer. Messer issued an order last month setting ground rules for news coverage of Montgomery's trial. It allows cameras but prohibits news media from photographing or naming any juror throughout the proceeding. Witnesses don't enjoy the same publicity shield. So Court TV and other outlets have been live streaming testimony that has been at times highly sensitive and gruesome. One witness, Anthony Badero, got an immunity deal to testify Tuesday without selling heroin and crack cocaine to the defendant and his wife, Kayla Montgomery, while the couple lived with their small children in a car parked outside Badero's apartment in late 2019 after an eviction. Sorry, one moment. I think that's mainly it. Anyway, so okay. What's going on now? What are they showing us? This is interesting. What are they showing us now? Oh, that's Crystal. Looks like Crystal, Harmony's mom to me. I'm wondering why the camera is focusing on her. Interesting. So you have to, if you're a witness, you have to stay out of the courtroom until you have testified. That was probably one of the reasons they put Crystal on first. She testified on the first day of trial. So that was probably one of the considerations. This is that's one of the considerations, is that they want I'm sure they consider Crystal a victim in this situation, since it was her daughter that was murdered by her ex-husband or, ex-partner. So, they probably, one of the things they wanted to do was get her on the stand early so that she could also be in the gallery during the trial. And by all accounts, she's been there every day. I don't know if any of you were following the Vallow trial, but there was a lot of there was chaos around certain victims being able to be in the courtroom at certain times and considered victims and things like that. There's all these definitions and rules that they use to determine whether you are actually a direct victim in the case or whether you are, just a family member. I think, and the details are escaping me right now, but it had a lot to do with my understanding was that it was for Kay and Larry Woodcock and whether they would be able to be in the room at certain points. I forget I forget the actual details on that. But anyway, so this morning has been very interesting. So first we had Travis Beach. And he very nervously testified about um, assisting Adam in getting a U-Haul. And, he's one of those people you look at and you think, this guy probably never, ever, ever thought that, helping a friend out and getting a U-Haul or whatever, is going to end up with me, being live streamed in a trial. Right. So he testified about that. That's where we got the comments about Meta and Facebook and stuff like that. We also had the property manager for the apartments where Kayla and Adam were living after the murder. So this would be after the fit shelter. Now they had a place to stay. They were living in this apartment complex. They were friends with the property manager. Their kids would play together. And Adam told that witness that he had a daughter, but he dropped her off in, she's with her mother in Lowell, Massachusetts. So then we got another, and then of course she very emotionally testified to seeing Kayla very beaten up. Right. Kay had to get special permission from the judge. Right. So, excuse me, I want to take a quick drink of my water. So that was powerful and emotional testimony. And it really shows you, and this is from the property manager. It really shows you how many people get affected by trauma like that. It's not only traumatizing to be physically abused by your partner, but also for other people to see that, so a lot of times children see that happening. I'm sure many people watching now or in the future come from homes where one of their family members was beat. And it's a horrible, horrible thing. And a lot of people just kind of slough it off, but it does set you up for a lifetime of trauma. In all honesty, you saw just the mere mention, just that witness went from really calm and very helpful and just, answering the questions to immediate tears when she was reminded of how she saw Kayla. And that imagine how many people are affected like that. I bet I'm very sorry about that, Queen Bella. It's really, really hard because the other people in your life love you too and don't want to see that happening. Right. I used to be that way, Johnny, when I was before I got treatment, I was a door slammer. I was one of those people that would be like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah," and then I would go in and slam my door. And I'm talking about as an adult. And then I, slowly realized, oh my God, that is just so unnecessary. And I have these little kids now. I don't want them to be learning that the way to handle anger is by, running into a room and slamming doors. I broke a printer once because this is a long time ago. I once broke my own printer because I like slammed the lid down on the printer. So yeah, it's really, really, when aggressive behavior like that is intimidating. And we're talking about this as adults, right? As adults, we know how intimidating it is. Imagine how it is for little kids. And I just for me it was the look in people's eyes when I would get really angry and I would yell. I was never ever physically abusive ever to anybody. I But when I would get angry, I would yell. And I started recognizing the look in their eyes when I would yell, and I'm like, "Wait a minute." And it was interesting because I had come from a work environment where people yelled all the time. So I thought it was kind of normal for people to yell. Um, but then when you are standing there yelling in front of like yelling at the grocery clerk and they're looking at you like, fucking A, bitch, what did I do to you? I get it. You know what I mean? Like, that's why uh, I drastically changed the way I interact with people as a result of my own observing my own effect on other people. When I would get angry and yell. Um, so yeah, yep. And that also shows, I think, people, when you see people who have gone through addiction and have gone through recovery, you see people can improve, people can change, for the better, people can learn to be a different person. And so I always, when I see these situations, where we have all these, we have this trial, I don't see hope for Adam. He's a career criminal. He's deeply, like, he's gone in terms of just any sense of humanity, right? But there is hope for people. There can be rehabilitation. The problem is that they have to participate in their own rehabilitation. It can't be imposed on them. You can't make them rehabilitate. And that's what's so frustrating. No, nothing you can do. No, you can't. That's just something you can't control, is whether a person is going to choose to rehabilitate themselves. Um, so I'm going to go to right now. I'm going to go to just look and see the live trial coverage that I've been kind of monitoring on WMUR. See if they have anything interesting to say. Um, so the property manager's name was Tara Hilbert. And let's see if there's anything interesting on Twitter. I hope you all are doing okay. Remember that, we'll be here. If you need to step away, you should feel free to step away. Um, you know, take care of yourself. Um, make sure that you're looking after your own mental health. Yeah, it's you know it's interesting because these watching trials like this can be educational. It can also be a little bit cathartic. um it it can also soothe our own issues, but also it is so horrifying to see people how people treat each other. So it's like you have to, walk that fine balance of I'm going to pay attention. Um, I'm going to pay attention, but I have to also take care of how the effects of this trial what the effects of this trial could be on me, right? Let me just see if, hold on one moment. I was watching actually I went while they're out, it looks like they might be taking a bit of time. There's this court TV segment that talks about how career criminal Adam Montgomery got custody of Harmony, and it has some interesting information, but it also has some sweet pictures of Harmony as well. So let's watch that while we're waiting.
Murdered his daughter in 2019. He's now on trial, but
there was a maintenance call because the bathroom was clogged, the drain in the bathroom, in the bathtub. And so this maintenance worker was called there on February 27th, which happens to be one day after police testified that there was the purchase of a grinder saw and also a blade paid for by cash one day before. Well, there's this maintenance call, and when they're working on the house, Adam is acting very strange. Take a listen.
When you're doing this repair, where is Adam Montgomery?
Right outside the bathroom door.
Okay. And are you guys talking at all during that time?
Not really. He's doing more pacing than talking. So
More pacing than talking.
yeah, he was just kind of waiting for us to finish. I think I had to go back one more time to fix some lights on the ceiling.
Lights on the ceiling?
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that trip?
They were just popped off the ceiling. They were hanging by the wires.
Literally
Yeah.
off the ceiling.
Yeah. The wires weren't disconnected. I mean, a light isn't heavy. The lights we use are real light. They'll hang by the wires and still work, but they were hanging by the wires. So put them back up.
Any idea how those lights got pulled down?
Speculation.
Excuse me. I'll withdraw the question and I'll rephrase. With regards to those lights, did Adam Montgomery tell you how they got pulled down?
He said he took them down because he thought there were cameras in them.
And remember that this
That was interesting. That was interesting testimony. He was pacing back and forth, and the guy also had to go back and make more repairs. The lights were just hanging down from the ceiling. They were working, but they were just hanging down from the ceiling. Gee, I wonder why. I'm going to go back to the trials. They're showing the camera keeps panning around in the court, showing different views. Here, I'll show you. So now they're showing this view here. Oh, Sparkles is here. Never fear, Sparkles is here. He could definitely kill someone in that paranoid state. He was a really paranoid guy, obviously. So paranoid that he can't show up to his own freaking trial. His own freaking trial. The one that he looked so forward to defending his honor, right? It was so important for him to defend his honor. Oh,
Please be seated.
let's see what's going on now. Yes, remember to slap that thumbs up, babies. He is a coward, Tiggy girl. Typical bully. He's going to be a tough guy with a freaking 5-year-old kid. And his girlfriend, wife.
Your Honor, Attorney Smith is still doing her review that you had asked her to do.
Okay,
So she has the device. They've had it for a few minutes.
okay, that's fine. I just wanted to be in here so that if the witness comes up and is in, I would get some of you anyway, so that I could address her. She could be on the stand.
I can stay in.
Interesting.
We can stay, Your Honor, for that. Ms. Giles, but I will ask her.
That's fine.
Yep, children and animals. That's right, Jose. Children, women, and animals. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. They haven't brought the judges on the bench. They haven't brought the jury back. They're talking about how Attorney Smith, that's Elaine. We call her Elaine. Sarah, Jesse, Raphael, Elaine, Oriani. Is still reviewing the material. So I think they were supposed to go review some material and then come in for arguments, and it might be regarding a
Counsel,
witness.
just approach her a minute.
And now attorneys are asked to approach. Right. Sally, Barbara, Elaine, Koff, Oriani. Exactly. And here comes attorney. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering as well, if this is about the reluctant witness. So I guess there were, as we were reading, they said that they were going to issue a warrant for her arrest, which seems kind of scary considering she's trying to hide from an abuser. So, Caroline, my understanding is that the motion that they heard yesterday in that hearing was they've decided to continue, so that the charges are being contested on jurisdiction. The charges are being contested on jurisdiction, and the jurisdictional issues have been put aside. That is not an issue anymore, and they are going to move forward with the actual jury trial next month. No, that's not Steve. My Steve has a much bigger bark. My Steve sounds like a German Shepherd when he barks. The dog you're hearing in the background is my next door neighbor.
Enter Ugadi.
Yes,
Counsel.
I'm so sorry about your grandbaby, Evil Queen. I hate it when the babies are sick. I hope he or she is okay. Gets better soon. Yeah, I wanted to name Steve. I wanted to name my dog a people name. I was thinking about something like Bob or, Hank or something like that. And then my son suggested Steve Jobs because I used to work for
Going on?
Steve Jobs
So I'll do it at lunch.
from Apple.
Oh, it's our copy. Okay.
No, it's the one that I just want you to.
But you
review it.
haven't marked it yet.
I want you to review it first.
Hold on to it until lunch.
Attorney
I
Guy,
will lose everything.
would just approve it, please.
Sorry. you want-
If you would just speak to her about that. for a
Yes,
moment.
ma'am.
Look at the crossed arms. This is a very reluctant witness. So it looks like she looks pissed. Not everybody knows who Steve Jobs is, Johnny. Younger kid. Yeah, look at the body language. She is angry. She does not want to be there. Hey, not that I blame her. Oh, Steve Jobs from Apple, right. Ted, Billy, Molly, and then there's Yogi. Ted, Billy, and Molly. And I love that. I love it. You were thinking of the Steve Jobs from Kroger? Yeah. No, seriously. There have been people who do not know who Steve Jobs is, and it's fine. He died 15 years ago, you guys. It's crazy to think that. But man, oh man. Yeah, I think that's what they were trying to make those accommodations about keeping her off of the camera. Um I know your counting is he is fascinating, Jenlo. He was fascinating. Well, am I counting right? He died in 20, maybe it's almost 15 years. He died in 2011. Am I counting wrong? I'm terrible at math. But he died in 2011. So all right, I will hit you all with the I will hit you all with the Reader's Digest version. We've heard some pretty compelling testimony today. We heard we heard from Travis Beach, the gentleman who helped get the U-Haul for Adam. He was very nervous and scared, and also an ex-prisoner, so had been tied up with the law. We heard from the property manager where Adam and Kayla and the boys stayed after Harmony died. She testified that Adam told her that he had a daughter, but she was with her mother, and that and she said that it was very quickly the subject was changed by Adam. He didn't want to talk about it a lot. That same witness testified emotionally to seeing Kayla after and helping her, taking her somewhere after Adam really beat her up, that her whole face. And she went from testifying very calmly and just answering questions to when she answered the question about Kayla being very emotional. So it was pretty, yes, it was a very compelling testimony. And there was another very brief witness before that who also testified to Adam telling her that he had a daughter, but she was with her mother. So, and it's clear that what they're trying to do now is figure out about this witness that they just brought in. It looks like she might be. So we've been talking about how there are reports of a witness who was supposed to testify on Wednesday, but she backed out because she's in the middle of a restraining order process. Yeah. And you know what? I want to just take a moment here and stop and thank all the people that are watching for being good parents and being good mothers and grandmothers, like Evil Queen taking care of her grandbaby who's sick. Thank you for being good parents. Thank you for loving your
Clear the
children.
courtroom for a moment. I'm going to ask everyone to go out so I can make an inquiry. I will ask for the cameras to be turned off. Cameras to be turned off.
Okay, we've got some stuff going on. Oh, she's crying. She's crying.
The court monitor, we're going to place this under seal.
She's scared. Yeah, they already
I
put
want
her
no
on
audio
camera.
or video on right now.
Go out. I'm just gonna point the camera at the seal.
Done?
No audio at all.
Okay.
Pointing it at the ceiling.
Defense team can remain present. This is going to be under seal. And
Turn off the audio if you're really going to turn off the audio. Audio. He said he was going to turn off the audio if you want to keep your rights to this pool. Okay, they turned it off. Oh man, these are such delicate situations. These are such delicate situations. That woman is clearly scared, and now they already showed her on camera. They marched her into the room. Well, yes, they already showed her on camera. It doesn't mean they have to keep showing her on camera, especially with her getting so incredibly emotional. I know. Well, if they really didn't, if they didn't want the cameras to see her, they should have told the cameras to go off before they brought her in the room. The camera didn't know that you know what I mean? I'm not yelling at anybody in chat. I'm just saying I'm frustrated by this situation. Yeah, the judge said she was going to place all this under seal. But most of the civilian witnesses we have seen have their own struggles. They didn't say who this person is. They did not name this person. But they brought her into the courtroom, and it was the sheriffs that brought her in, or it was law enforcement that brought her in. And she was clearly pissed and scared. They marched her up to the witness stand, and then they started talking about all these other matters and pointing the cameras away. And there's a possibility that she's they always have to consider the possibility that she's lying to get out of it, but she didn't sound like she was anything but freaked out and scared to me. Yeah, they did. I read an article that said that they were planning to put a bench warrant out for her, but they knew exactly why she didn't want to be on camera and why she didn't want to testify. And it was because she didn't want to be seen by her abuser. So she was supposed to see. Here's the backstory. And just to be clear, we don't know if it's the same person. Okay. We don't know if it's the same person that we just saw in court and the one we were hearing crying. So a witness was supposed to testify on Wednesday. She was all ready to testify, but then backed out when she saw the cameras. backed out when she saw the cameras. So then they started to make accommodations for her, in terms of not being shown on camera, but she still backed out. And then they told her, well, then we're going to have to issue a warrant for your arrest. So, and that is the legal process. If you are subpoenaed and you do not testify, there will be a warrant issued for your arrest. In situations like this, man, it's above my head and my pay grade to figure out how to handle a situation like this, because she may be an incredibly important witness, but also is she important enough to put her life in danger? She's definitely, you could hear her shaking, crying. She was scared. They walked her in, she was pissed. Then you hear her shaking, crying. She was scared. Now, again, what is a bench warrant? A warrant is it's a warrant that is issued by a judge, and just issued from the bench for an arrest. So I just wonder how important this particular witness is to the case. I guess if they end up putting her on the stand, we'll see how important she is, and what her role was, is or was or may have been. But yes, that's right, Baxter. Usually, as you get further into the case, the witnesses become more and more impactful and important. And, because they're building their timeline, they're like setting the foundation with the earlier witnesses. They're building timelines. They're establishing, facts. And then the additional witnesses that come in later, validate all of those things with more important facts, right? This could have been handled differently, but I suspect it may be a message to any other witness considering not showing up. And let's just step back and think about this a little bit. They're issuing a bench warrant out for this woman or this witness to testify, but Adam isn't fucking there. That's when you see, sometimes laws that are enacted, it looks like they are arguing them, they're standing up. Like Adam isn't even there. So sometimes you see how laws can can make sense in one sense, but not in another sense. When you put up the comparison of, they put out a bench warrant for the arrest of this woman who wouldn't testify, and the actual defendant isn't even showing up for court, and they're accommodating that. And that is because he has that right.
It was important for us to take up some additional matters. We're now ready to resume testimony. Attorney Agati, whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Giles, would you please stand? And please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat. Ms. Giles, as we are being recorded here today, would you please state your full name and spell your first and your last name for the record?
Nicole Marie Giles, Nicoleggiales.
And Ms. Giles, how far did you go in school?
11th grade.
11th grade. I know that you've got some difficulties with regards to being here today. I just want to thank you on behalf of everyone here in the courthouse for being able to testify for us. I'd like to ask, at one point in January to July of 2020, were you living at 177 Lake Avenue, the Families in Transition or FIT shelter in Manchester?
Yes.
And what was your room number that you were staying in?
I think 8,
8. Okay.
I believe.
While you were there, did you meet any individual by the name of Adam Montgomery?
Yes.
Okay. And where was Adam Montgomery living in the building when you were there?
Room 1.
Room 1. And who was he living with?
Kayla, Declan, and Seamus.
And Declan and Seamus, were those his children?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you know where he was working at the time? Did he ever tell you where he was working?
Yes.
Where did he say he was working?
Portland Pie.
Did you ever visit him down there?
Yes.
The rooms in your room, room 8, and their room, room 1, could you describe those rooms for the jury who may not have seen them? What do those rooms look like?
They're like bunk beds. I know it's more or less like a hotel room, but you just have 2 bunk beds in there. You have your own bathroom, and it's shared living space.
Are you allowed to change the furniture while you're living there?
They ask you not to.
And what about the orientation of the furniture, where it is in the room?
You have 1 bed on one side of the room, 1 bed on the other side of the room. There's a door in the like when you walk in, then you have a window that has bars on it, so kids don't fall out, and a bathroom with a tub and toilet and sink.
Okay. How often did you talk with Adam Montgomery or Kayla Montgomery? How often?
Daily.
Daily?
Yep.
During your time together, while you were staying in room 8 and they were staying in room 1, did you ever see Kayla Montgomery with bruises on her?
Yes.
Okay. Where were the bruises that you saw?
Pretty much all over her face, her abdomen, her arms, her legs.
Did you ever ask Kayla about those bruises?
Yes.
What did she say caused them?
Objection, hearsay.
We can approach your honor.
Yes.
Okay, so she's from the shelter where they were living, and it sounds like she's about to testify to, well, she has testified to seeing abuse on Kayla. Yep, they did, Caroline. It's disgusting. And the defense objected to the witness being asked, how did Kayla say she got them? She was about to answer, and there was an objection to hearsay. So they are arguing that right now. I mean, so obviously this person is going to testify, is corroborating this is like the 5th person who's really corroborated seeing abuse on Kayla, like physical ramifications of abuse on her face, her abdomen. And it's corroborating and it's validating Kayla's testimony. And they need that. They need other people to validate what Kayla is saying, because Kayla is a known liar, right? They have to bring in more people to say, yes, this is true. And it looks like the witness is getting more upset right now. Like almost like something that happened in the conversation made her more upset. I don't know. Yeah, and she, Kayla on the stand was saying that the abuse was almost, it was constant. It was almost continuous after Harmony died. And all of this testimony corroborates that. They did show a picture of her face. And you know what it also corroborates? Look at the body language of the tall prosecutor. he looks like he's getting it for a second there. It looked like he was getting agitated. It is terrible. Like he's leaning forward, right? Like, but he has his hand in his pocket. It's just fascinating to me. So the other thing that's being corroborated is, Kayla's defense, or Kayla's testimony of how Harmony died was that, was by constantly hitting her in the head many times. Hello, Ash. And so the fact that a lot of people saw Kayla with the same type of bruising, the same types of injuries, shows that that was his go-to method of abuse, was hitting people in the head, hitting people in the face. So he's definitely violent. He resorts to violence. The lady in the methadone van who would take them back and forth said that she had never seen Adam so angry. So it shows a pattern. She was scared. She was just absolutely petrified seeing the way Adam was looking at her. And then he comes over and rips her phone out of her hand. And, and she says it was assault. And it's like, you can't really dispute that. And I understand why she felt that way, felt it was an assault. He doesn't have impulse control. Okay, they're coming back. She probably knows, Caroline.
Thank you, Ms. Giles. I apologize for the interruption. I'd like to ask you, could you describe what you saw in Kayla? You said there were bruises in different parts of her body. Could you describe what you saw? What color were the bruises?
Sometimes purple, sometimes yellow. Depends on how soon I seen them.
And what were the size of those bruises that you saw?
Some were small, like fingerprints. Others were like this.
God bless you. How often did you see them on her?
Pretty often.
And pretty often, how often is that? I don't want to put words in your mouth. So
There was like a new one pretty much every day.
okay. Did the Montgomerys move out of the fit shelter?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do anything to help them in that move?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I helped them move out with
Okay.
their belongings.
And how did you help them move out?
I helped them take their stuff from their room. I put it in my vehicle and I brought them to their apartment.
Okay, I see. So you had a vehicle and you were helping with your vehicle to move things over.
Yes, sir.
Okay, where did they move to?
On the corner of Orange and Union. I don't remember the exact address.
Did you stay friendly with them after the move?
Yes.
Did you ever visit them in their apartment at that new building?
Yes.
Could you describe for the jury what the inside of that apartment looked like?
It was kind of cluttered, a little messy. There was cockroaches. It was only a 1-bedroom. There was holes in the walls, ceiling. There was one time I went there and like I don't know, it looked like the living room was torn apart and half the walls, the bathroom.
Let me ask you, you said living room was torn apart, half the walls. Let me ask about a couple of specifics if I can. What about the light fixtures? Did you ever notice anything about the light fixtures there?
Yeah, they were hanging from the ceiling.
Okay.
They weren't like secured. When he first moved in, he had thought that it was one color and now it's a different color. And then he assumed the
owners were spying on him, listening to his conversations.
Did Adam Montgomery ever talk to you about any plumbing issues at that new building?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said that the tub had backed up, and because I had asked, I went in to use the bathroom and the tub was dirty, and I asked what happened, and he said that he was waiting for the landlord to call because the plumbing backed up.
So what did you suggest to him?
I didn't really suggest anything.
Separate from time there at that location, are you aware whether or not Adam and Kayla were ever over at the O'Connell Lodge staying there while they still had the Union Street apartment?
Yes.
And are you aware what time of year that would have happened? Spring, winter still, I should say, or spring or summer or fall?
I want to say it was winter because it was like right after tax season.
Right after tax season?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a moment, please, Your Honor.
Yes.
Sorry. Knew that was coming.
Bless you, Mr. Prosecutor.
When you were interacting and talking with Adam Montgomery, what behavior, if any, did you ever see about him believing that somebody was recording him or listening to him?
He actually thought that quite often.
And did you see him do anything as a result of this? Any actions that he would take?
He was just like, I don't know, he would ask if I thought it was true, or like, look, the number 5 bus keeps going by. They go by like 5 times. I was just going by the shelter. I'm like, that's the route, I believe. I think it was a 5 or 6. One of those two, not exactly sure. But it drives straight down Lake Ave to go downtown. And he just thought it was following him. And then, the whole light fixture thing, I don't know. He's just didn't make sense half the time. So I didn't listen to him half the time.
At any point when you described before that you had seen these bruises on Kayla Montgomery, at any point did you offer for her to get her out of that relationship?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did she accept your offer back then?
Not really.
Okay.
Not exactly. She was afraid.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't have any further questions for you. I believe.
Tiggy girl, I'm pretty sure they were saying that his drug of choice was crack. So crack could definitely make you act that way. For sure. And one of the drug dealers said they did meth together. Oh, Pamela, I noticed you asked if you should go back and look at any particular testimony. The most compelling testimony so far was from Tara Hilbert. She was the property manager at the apartment complex where Adam and Kayla lived after Harmony went missing. And so she got very emotional talking about, the witnesses have been interesting today. She got emotional talking about seeing Kayla after being beat up. So, I think that it was I think this witness is intimidated by a whole different person, a different abuser that she's trying to get a restraining order on, or has a restraining order on. and it's obviously someone who's local. So if she's sitting there in the courtroom and they really are maybe, let's say, as violent as Adam and stalkerish, they could make their way to the courtroom right now and wait for her. So hopefully they are taking all of that into consideration and will provide her with protection when she leaves. At least not necessarily for the rest of her days after she leaves, but meaning from the court when she exits the court. When you're being yes, Alex. I think Alex is behind, so she isn't hearing what my responses to her. So, it could be a lot of people have their own abusers above and beyond the people that they've been around and have witnessed abuse other people, right? It could be someone who's close to Adam targeting her, but it could
Ms.
also
Giles, I apologize. I just have one other question. I'd asked you before about the bruises that you saw at Fit, and I just want to ask you, what did Kayla say caused those bruises that you saw at Fit?
Originally, she would say she fell, or Seamus threw a toy. Declan hit her with a bottle.
Okay. Did she ever say anything about Adam causing those bruises?
Not till we were alone.
I'm sorry?
Not until we were alone.
And what did she say when you were alone?
She would say that Adam was doing it and she's afraid and she needs to get out of there, but she's afraid to leave.
Thank you very much, Ms. Giles. Your Honor, I understand that limiting instruction is appropriate. We would ask it be given at this time.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the questioning that you just heard about what did Kayla say, the responses to that question can only be used not for the purpose of the truth of what Kayla said, but to determine the credibility of that witness. Okay, so the prior consistent statements can be used only for the determining the credibility of the witness when the witness's credibility has been attacked. Okay, so not for the truth, but for assessing credibility. All right.
It is still morning. Good morning, Ms. Giles.
Good morning.
My name is Jamie Brooks, and I represent Adam Montgomery. I'll be asking you a few questions as well. I just want to begin by clarifying your testimony today.
Mhm.
You are saying that when you were at the shelter at Fit in January and February of 2020,
Mhm.
you observed bruises on Kayla Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
When you talked to her in private, she said that those bruises you observed were from Adam.
Yes, sir.
Miss Giles, do you recall being interviewed by a Detective Dunleavy?
Yep.
This interview by Detective Dunleavy was in June of 2022,
Yes.
1.5 years ago, actually more than 1.5 years ago.
Mhm.
And I apologize. We're making a record, so we do need to have like a kind of like a yes or no as opposed to an mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
she answers, okay.
This interview conducted by Detective Dunleavy in June of 2022 was at the police department.
Okay. I don't remember.
You do not remember where it was?
No, he's come to my house a couple of times. He came to, my house a couple of times. And I know I did go to the police station once, I believe. I don't remember when.
Do you remember there being an interview specifically that was recorded?
Sure, yeah. It was when we were at the police station. I think he did one at my kitchen table twice or something like that.
Okay. What I'm wanting to focus on is the interview that took place at the police department.
Okay.
And you do recall having an interview at the police department?
Yeah, I don't remember what his questions or anything like that.
You don't remember what it was about?
I know what it was about. It was about Adam, but I don't remember all the questions. It was over a year ago. I'm lucky if I remember what I had for dinner last night.
That's fair.
This interview was conducted by not only Detective Dunleavy, but also Detective Rayhill. Do you remember that?
There was some other guy in there. I don't know who it was.
And when you were there for this interview, you knew that it was about Harmony Montgomery.
Yes.
And you wanted to do everything you could to help, right?
Right.
You knew that it was being recorded, right?
Yes.
You knew that Adam had already been arrested at this point for second-degree assault.
I believe so, yeah.
Harmony's disappearance was already in the media at this point.
Okay.
By okay, do you mean yes?
I don't pay attention to the news. I don't have cable.
But you do recall that this interview was regarding Harmony Montgomery.
Yes.
And the police were asking you questions.
Right.
You wanted to answer those questions correctly.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
Yes.
You wanted to tell them everything that you knew.
I didn't know nothing.
The police asked you about the time you spent with Adam and Kayla at the fit shelter, correct?
Yes.
And specifically, the police asked you during this June 9th, 2022 recorded interview whether you were aware of any domestic violence between Adam and Kayla, correct?
Yes. And I said no.
You said that Kayla on occasion referred to Adam as a dick,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
But you did not state that you had observed at any point any bruises on Kayla Montgomery.
Right.
You did not tell the police that Kayla had confided in you about any domestic violence.
Right.
You did not tell the police that Kayla was in any way scared of Adam.
Right.
And this was, again, an interview where you knew what the subject was about and you wanted to do everything you could to help the police.
Okay.
By okay, you mean yes?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Ms. Giles.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Giles, about those questions you were just asked, you didn't say anything about the domestic violence, about the abuse that you saw on Kayla in June of 2022. Do you recall Detective Rahale coming to meet with you in January of this year to talk about this? I'm sorry?
Yes, in my kitchen.
In your kitchen?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, sorry.
Overruled.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, Ms. Giles, with regards to that conversation, you were just asked a moment ago about why you didn't say anything about domestic violence with Kayla back in June of 2022. What changed? What was different between June of 2022 versus when you talked to police in January of 2024?
Just like flashbacks and memories of different things and demeanors and situations.
When you were speaking with police in June of 2022, did you want to have anything to do with the investigation?
No, I did not.
And in January of 2024, why did you sit down with police and talk with them then and share more information?
Because I'm a mother and I feel for Harmony's family.
And your testimony here today about what you saw, what you experienced, and what you heard people say with regards to that, is that the truth, just as you've taken an oath to tell today?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Ron.
Ms. Giles, the interview that you participated in June of 2022 was voluntary, correct?
Yes, I think. I don't remember. To be honest, I honestly don't remember. I know I was called in.
You were subpoenaed to appear here today, correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
I'm sorry, but you were not subpoenaed to appear at the police station, correct?
No.
In fact, when you were advised, or when you arrived, you were advised that this was voluntary. You did not have to speak to the police.
I guess I don't remember. I'm sorry.
It's okay. But you were not in any way told that you had to speak with the police.
I don't think so.
And again, this was not a short interview. You covered a lot of
For about an
territory
hour.
during that interview, correct?
I think I was there for about an hour, yeah.
If I were to, just about an hour, you said, right?
I think.
So if you were told that the interview began at, say, for example, 10:24 and ended at 11:20, that'd be about an hour, right?
Yes.
And you were there voluntarily that time,
Yeah.
and you were there to help.
Do what I could and didn't think I'd be here risking my own life.
Thank you.
Your Honor, no further questions.
I think he was about to ask her more questions.
Ma'am, you may be excused. You're not to take pictures on the way out.
That was strong testimony, though. We now have more corroborating testimony
State may
about
call its next witness.
the abuse.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Mr. Michael Doe to the stand.
Something like that, harlot. I think that the defense was trying to say, you only say that there was domestic violence when you're coerced to say it. No, what it is that people who have witnessed abuse or have been abused are scared. Okay? They're legitimately scared for their families, for themselves. So they might lie. This looks like it could be law enforcement.
Solemnly swear that the testimony you give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please feel free to have a seat.
Hey, orange slices aren't a weakness.
Doe,
That
as
is
we're being
strength.
recorded here today, would you please go ahead and state your full name and spell both your first and your last name for the record?
Michael Dobe, Michaeldobe.
And Mr. Doe, what town do you live in?
Londonderry, New Hampshire.
How long have you been living there?
10, 11 years.
And how far did you go in school?
I have an associate's degree,
In what field?
criminal justice.
And with regards to that associate's degree in criminal justice, can I ask a little bit about your work history? What are some of the kind of different jobs that you've had in your life?
Yep. So I've worked about 15 years in the security and asset protection field.
And what are the different businesses that you did security and asset protection for?
I did security at the Mall of New Hampshire, and then I did asset protection for Kmart, Rite Aid, Walmart, and Macy's.
In Macy's. Are you still working at Macy's now?
I am not.
Okay. Where do you work now?
I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs.
And what do you do for them?
I was hired as a police officer, but I'm currently working in dispatch until I can go to the police academy.
And when is that scheduled to be?
April.
In April of this year.
Correct.
Okay. You said that before you were working at Walmart. What are the different Walmarts that you've worked in?
I was mainly out of the Manchester, New Hampshire store. I would assist in other stores, like just during inventory.
And the Manchester, New Hampshire store, just for jurors who may not be familiar, where is that Walmart in Manchester?
725 Gold Street.
Okay. Now, if we were going to leave here at the courthouse, what would be the way that you would take to get down to where that is, where Gold Street is?
Me personally, I would just go up Central Street to Beach, take a right onto Beach to South Willow, and then South Willow to Gold Street, and then the Walmart's right there.
How long did you work at that particular Walmart?
Approximately 2 years.
And what are the other Walmarts that you've worked at?
There was a few. Keene, Hooksett, and a couple of other ones, but I don't remember the towns.
In regards to the Manchester one, was there anybody else that was working security and asset protection with you at that location?
Yeah, there was a few of us.
And how were your shifts divided up? What shifts would you work most of the time?
We were just based off of the needs of the business, so it wasn't anything in particular. Sometimes I would open, sometimes I would close, and same with the others.
Are you familiar with the layout of the store? I would assume so, but I don't want to make an assumption.
I am.
Okay. And with regards to that layout of the store, could you go ahead and just kind of briefly talk us through, if I were to go in the main entrance of that particular Walmart, the one here in Gold Street, what do I walk into and what are the different areas of the store that I can walk to?
So there's two main entrances at Walmart. There's the grocery entrance and the general merchandise entrance. When you go through the general merchandise doors, it's the general merchandise area, health and beauty, stationery, arts and crafts, stuff like that. And then the grocery entrance is where the grocery side is.
Inside that particular store, is there a device over near the well, I should ask, is there a service counter?
There is.
Okay. And near the service counter, is there a device over there that's called an Echo or ECO, ECO ATM?
There is.
Echo ATM. Could you explain to the jurors what an Echo ATM is?
So essentially, it's just a humanless pawn shop. You can put your electronic items in it and it will give you cash.
And while you were there at that particular Walmart, had they always had an Echo ATM machine there?
As far as I remember, yes.
Had you ever used the Echo ATM machine yourself?
Not to its fullest extent, just to get an estimate to see how the kiosk worked.
Could you describe that for the jurors, actually? What's the process that a person would go through if they're going to go ahead and use this device to turn in an electronic device?
I don't remember the exact steps, but from what I remember is it gave me a sticker to put on the back of my phone, and then I would plug it into the machine and I would set it on to the kiosk and it would analyze it or does whatever it does, and then it gave me an estimate.
Okay. And then, so it gives you an estimate, and what does that estimate look like? Are we talking about dollars?
Correct.
Okay. And then have you taken it any farther with that particular machine?
I did not. It gives you the option to either agree to take the money or to give your property back, and I opted to get my property back.
Have you seen other people using that machine?
I have.
Have you seen somebody use it that opts to go ahead and recycle their electronic device and get payment?
I haven't watched people start to finish do it, but I have seen people get cash out of the machine.
Okay. I'd like to ask, with regards to an interaction you had with the Manchester Police Department back in early January of 2022, were you ever requested for security camera footage from around that area of the ATM and the entire store?
Yes.
And was that request for between the time period, for around December 30th or December 31st of 2021?
It was.
How familiar are you with the security camera layout at that Walmart?
Pretty good.
Can you describe it for us, the different types of cameras that are used and the different ways that you can either view those cameras live or view recorded footage?
Yep. So we have stationary cameras, which are cameras that are just in one spot and don't move. Some are high up, some are low. And then we also have PTZs, which stands for pan, tilt, zoom. And those cameras can pan 360 degrees, zoom in and out, and tilt up and down.
And where do you access the camera system?
From the asset protection office.
And I take it working in asset protection, you had access to that office.
I did.
With regards to the recording that was done, how long did, back at that point in 2022, how long did Walmart hold on to recorded surveillance footage?
It just depended on the camera and how much activity was recorded on that camera, but it was anywhere between 2 to 3 months.
Were you asked to then, again, get video footage from December 30th or December 31st of 2021 and provide that to the Manchester Police Department?
I was able to do that.
So how did you do that? How do you obtain that for the officers when they requested it?
So pretty much generally what they do is they'll give me a time frame and a general description of what I'm looking for, and then I would review that video, and then I would burn the times associated with the video frames.
Were you able to find a specific time for an eco ATM transaction that the police asked about?
I did.
And were you able, from viewing that video, to see the people who came in and made that transaction?
I was able to, yes.
From the cameras that you had available and the footage that you had available, what, if anything, were you able to view or record about their movements inside the entire store?
So I was able to see 3 people approach the eco ATM machine, and then while one person remained at the eco ATM machine, 2 others then proceeded to walk around the store.
Were you able to recover the footage of all 3 of those people the entire time that they were within the store?
I was.
And once you were able to see that footage, did you make a recording and provide that to the Manchester Police Department?
I did.
Yes, you may.
Joe, I'm going to show you a stick drive or a thumb drive that's been marked State's Exhibit 141. With regards to that particular thumb drive, are you familiar with that drive?
I am.
Have you had a chance to review the contents of that drive?
I was.
And what is on that drive?
The video that I provided the Manchester Police Department.
And for the purposes of today's hearing in this particular court proceeding, are those all of the recordings that are available for us today of that particular interaction, that eco ATM transaction?
Yes.
And does that also include the other video cameras that you talked about that cover other areas of the store so you can follow people around from one location to another?
Yes.
And is this a true and accurate copy of the video that you provided to the Manchester Police for those particular video files?
It is.
At this point, Your Honor, I'd ask for the identification to be stricken from State's Exhibit 141 to be published to the jury.
Any objection?
Only accordance with prior.
The ID is stricken, it's entered as a full exhibit. And it may be published.
Thank you. I would like to ask you, with regards to this particular series or this areas of video footage, how are the video footage itself? Is there a notation that's made or somewhere in the recording about the time that the video was captured? Is that in the footage, or is there another way that that's recorded on this drive?
Some camera angles might have it on the screen when you're watching it. Otherwise, it would be on the document itself, like the saved profile.
Saved profile?
Yeah.
Joe, what I'm going to do now is I'd like to have us take a look at the footage that you have, that you were able to provide. And if you can just give me a brief moment. I'm going to direct your attention to the screen, and hopefully we'll have the footage over there.
If you're not looking at the screen, look now, because I think this is going to be important.
Mr. Doe, with regards to these particular drive and its contents, I'd like to go ahead and show you the index of the files themselves. Excuse me. Apologize. With regards to that, is that accurate in terms of your listing of all of the files that are available on this particular drive?
Yes,
And you've reviewed each one of those videos, correct?
I have.
And again, they're accurate for what was provided.
Correct.
With regards to that, I know they're rather hard to see, so if you'll excuse me for a second, I'm going to bring them back over on my screen. And I would like to have you kind of take us through the store.
Okay.
And I'd like to watch different areas of this video footage. We may not watch every single one, but it's my understanding you testified these do cover, for the purposes of today's hearing, all of the relevant video times of these three people being in the store.
That's correct.
So I'd like to start with the file that is entitled Entrance General Merchandise. And with regards to that, I see that there's a title on the slide, General Merchandise, that specifically goes to 135514. Is that a timestamp, sir?
Yes,
So the timestamp is recorded right on the file itself.
correct.
And also, I should ask, with regards to these videos, is any audio recorded here or is it just video?
Just video.
Just video. Excuse me just a second, sir. I apologize for the delay. So this is the entrance general merchandise video.
That's correct.
And with regards to this, the people that you followed for this Eco ATM transaction, pardon me, that had been done on December 30th of 2021, if you would please point out the three as they come through the store.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll pause it.
These are the three individuals.
So could you describe the very first person that's walking in that group? And I'll use the pointer to point to that individual.
Yep, it's a female wearing either a dark blue or a black jacket. And then there is another female behind her wearing a long sleeve blue shirt. And then a male wearing a black jacket and a tan hat.
You can see that that's Adam and
Stopping the
Kayla.
video in again, a few seconds into this, we're still seeing the same three individuals.
That's correct.
So this would be those three coming into the store.
That is correct.
Is there another camera just a little bit deeper from that very exterior door that also covers people coming through kind of a vestibule area?
Yes.
And is that one entitled one of your PTZ? What does that stand for again?
Pan, tilt, zoom.
Pan, tilt, zoom. Thank you. Pan, tilt, zoom. Would camera number 17 be able to show us more footage of that doorway?
Yes.
Playing that file, 1355-36.
And then
Yep, I'm going to pause it right there. Go ahead, sir.
these are the three individuals that we had saw in the previous video.
Let this be a reminder that we
area that we see them walk off the screen.
Always
where
on
is that
camera.
area leading to?
That's the front of the store by the registers, and they're heading towards the service desk.
I'd like to go to the service desk video that you provided and referring to track service desk overview monitor, again, on 12/30 of 2021 from 13:55:50 through 14:29. And I'm going to go ahead and pause this video here for a brief second. Generally, what part of the store is this?
This is the front end of the store, and this is the service desk area.
And so what do I see? Kind of at the very top of our screen here, line of kind of blue. Are those checkout aisles that I'm seeing?
Yep, those are the front end registers.
And can you please point out where the Eco ATM machine is to recycle electronics? Where's that? It's right here. There. So you're pointing to the green device on the left-hand side of the screen up against a blue wall. Is that a good, accurate description?
That's correct.
what I'd like to do is go ahead and keep playing this video for a moment, and then have you tell us when you see those same three people come back into view of the camera.
These are the three right here.
Hold on a second. Right there.
Correct.
Could you please point out where those three are again? First of all, we'll start with the woman that was in the dark colored jacket from before.
Yep.
Okay. And the woman in the light blue colored sweatshirt, and the gentleman with the darker sweatshirt and the tan hat. I'm going to let this play for just a minute, and I'd like to ask you a couple of questions while it's playing. So
Okay.
I apologize, but all of our attention is going to be on the screen right now as we're watching this. The woman in the light blue sweatshirt, what color bag does she have?
It appears pink.
And the gentleman with the dark sweatshirt, may have just pulled up his pants there with his tan colored hat. What color shoes generally?
Looks black.
Now, when you have used this device yourself, this Eco ATM, how long did it take for you to plug in the device and get an estimate about what you might be able to get for that device?
Just for the estimate, I would say it was approximately 5 minutes.
I'm just going to back it up a little bit. I apologize. I think I was talking over something. So do we still see the same two females that came in using the device?
That is correct.
And the gentleman, can we see that gentleman in the tan hat here?
No.
Can we see the gentleman in the tan hat now?
Yes.
Where is he?
He's back at the Eco ATM machine behind the female with the black jacket.
Go ahead and press play. Could you please stand up again for a moment and
Yep.
show us where he is?
Yep.
Yes, they're all standing at the Eco ATM right now.
As we're watching the three of them at the machine, Mr. Dope, this particular camera, does this have the ability to zoom in, pan, or tilt, or is this just a fixed camera?
This is just a fixed camera.
So the video image that we see is, this is the angle we get. We can't zoom in anymore.
That's correct.
See Adam looking around,
Gentleman
helping
in the
out the
tan
place.
hat, you still see him in this at this point in the recording?
I do.
Point out where he is, please. Thank you. You know, if I can ask you, with regards to the Eco ATM, again, as we're continuing to watch the footage together, with regards to that device, do you know whether or not that device records photographs of the individuals who are using the device?
It does.
Yeah, I have so many phones and devices from my old work.
And individual with the light blue colored sweatshirt, from this angle here, can you see whether or not she's leaning on the ATM?
It does appear that she is, yes.
And the other woman in the dark colored jacket, is she still standing next to her?
She is.
Yes, they just talked about that fruit fly. They were saying that these ATM devices
My understanding, you've seen this
have their own
video a
cameras.
couple different times, correct, Mr. Doe?
That's correct.
And this, standing at this particular device, this goes on for some time, is that right?
It does.
That's right, Chopper. The internet sucks.
At some point, Mr. Doe, as we're watching along here, are we going to witness the gentleman in the tan hat with the dark colored sweatshirt and the possibly black shoes, or at least dark colored shoes? Are we going to see him walk away from the two women that are using the device?
That's correct.
And when he comes back, does he have on all of the exact same clothing, or has it changed at all?
It's changed. He had removed his jacket and he's wearing a staff t-shirt.
So, and during that time period, do you see the two women leave the Eco ATM while he's gone and then coming back changed?
I don't recall if it's during that, but I do recall one of the females leaving with the male at some point.
I don't think so, Chopper, because the court allowed it to happen. They marched her in there right in front of the cameras. That's what I'm frustrated about.
In your review of this section of the video, does the gentleman in the tan hat ever stand up to the screen, or is he behind the ladies like he is now?
He's either behind the ladies or standing to the side of the machine.
Which side of the machine?
The side closest to the registers. So from this angle, it'd be the right-hand side.
Right hand side, top of the screen.
Correct.
Thank you very much for the gifted memberships, T. Marie. Now you're going to get 2 court clips. You're cruising for a court clip. Anybody who gets a membership, please thank T. Marie. Well, the thing is, Janessa, when you think about it, at any moment in any time, when we're in the public, we're at a store, we could be standing next to somebody who is a murderer or worse. Or, well, there isn't much worse than that, but you know what I'm saying. People who do not have good intentions. So we do need to be aware of our surroundings and prepared to take whatever measures we need to defend ourselves. And again, watching this footage, you see all these people walking in and out. They're all on camera. This is us going through stores every single day, walking down the street every single day. We are on camera. They know where we are. It's rather big brotherish.
So we're now about 9 minutes and 40 seconds into this particular camera footage. Can you still see the same three individuals?
I can.
So apparently with these machines, it takes a while to, you put them, I've never used one, so I don't know exactly how it works, but you put the device in and then it takes some time to
Do you know
evaluate.
how many items were recycled during this transaction?
I don't.
Exactly, Dexter, then all the Ring cameras and surveillance on people's houses. Anyway, so they apparently are, recycling several devices, more than one at least. And it takes a while to actually get the result back of what you're going to get. And I think you
ask
can,
specifically, do you know any of the individual items that were recycled during this transaction?
I just know of a phone, but I'm not sure of a particular phone.
So not a particular number or make or model or anything like that?
That's
just
correct.
A phone?
Correct.
All right, thank you. And the gentleman in the tan hat, where is he now at this point in the video?
He's still on the side of the Eco ATM machine closest to the service desk, so that would be the left-hand side of the machine.
so you submit your device in and you wait to see how much cash it'll give you back. And I think you can decline to take the cash and get your device back if you're not happy with the price that it's offering.
Mr. Dove, if I could direct your attention over to the right-hand lower side of the screen as we're still watching what's unfolding. Can you tell us how long this video track is, please?
It's cut off a little bit, but I believe it's a little over 33 minutes.
33 minutes long.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do is I'd like to move forward a little bit in time. I know you stated at one time that this individual is going to change his clothing, the gentleman in the tan hat.
That's correct.
Protection. Characterization, I think he testified he took off his jacket.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Let me
Objection
withdraw
is
the-
sustained.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Dove, I believe that, I apologize, you did testify at one point that he's going to take off his jacket, correct?
That's correct.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to move forward in time to a moment to when we see that, if we could, please.
Okay.
So I apologize, my eyes are not what they used to be for me to be able to see. Are we about 2 minutes or so? Oh, hold on a moment. At this point, is the gentleman in the tan hat walking away?
He is.
Okay. And what about the young lady who was wearing the dark jacket?
Yes, she's following him.
She's following. Okay. Now, I believe you said that you have other cameras in the store that cover different sections of the store. Is that right?
That's correct.
With regards to that, let me ask you, are any of those cameras a little bit closer to be able to see an individual's face or what they're wearing?
Yes.
And why is that? I'm going to pause the video here. Why is that? Why do you have cameras that are closer to people as compared to a camera like this, which appears to be up in the corner?
So some of the departments, we consider them high risk, meaning that there's a lot of theft that comes out of that department. So there's better camera angles in those aisles. So some of them are closer, not exactly face level, but it's almost face level. It's probably about 6.5, 7 feet from the floor. And we call those the public view monitors. And that's because when you enter the aisle, the camera, there's a monitor above the camera that shows yourself in that aisle. So you can actually see yourself in that aisle.
A customer can see themselves.
Correct.
And what's the point of having that set up?
So people know that they're on camera.
What I'd like to do is talk with you about, we're going to leave this video footage here for a moment. I'd like to go to a different track if I can to one of those cameras so you can kind of explain that to us. Specifically, I'd like to go to a track that you've provided listed cosmetics EVPM 6, again on December 30th, 2021, 14/28/33 through 14/28/51. Is this one of those cameras?
It is.
You see the gentleman in the tan hat here?
I do.
And you stated before about his jacket. Is that still on or has that been removed?
It's been removed.
Could you please point out where the gentleman in the tan hat is? And the lady in the black coat. Is that the same, are those the same individuals that we saw before coming into the store together with the other female wearing the light blue sweatshirt?
Yes, that's correct.
Pressing play. What's written on the back of his jacket there?
Staff.
Staff. And the front of the shirt, did you see the logo?
I did. I don't recall. I believe it was Coors Light or something of that nature.
You have cameras on multiple areas of the cosmetics aisle, so can we follow where they went to right after they turned the corner there?
Yes.
I'd like to now play for you a track you provided listed cosmetics EPVM4, again, December 30th, 2021, 14/28/47 through 14/29/13, and ask you some questions about this. The two individuals that walked in the middle of the screen, did you recognize who they were?
Yep, those are the same individuals.
Now I'd like to move to the next track that you provided, Cosmetics EVPM 6, December 30th, 2021, 14/29/10 through 14/29/21. These are the same individuals that we're seeing here on this video?
Yes.
Can you, now that you've got, to be able to see the gentleman, can you make out what's on his shirt?
I see the letters COO.
And from this aisle, does that progress to another aisle that has video footage of the two of them closer up like that?
I believe so, yes.
I'd like to now show you the file that you provided, Cosmetics EVPM 5, December 30th, 2021, from 14/29/18 through 14/32/16. Let us know if you see those same two individuals come on this video clip, please.
I do.
Could you point out where they are?
This is the male and then the female.
Can you still see the same tan hat from before?
I can.
In regards to these last three video clips that we've watched and the one that we're watching right now, do you see the dark colored jacket that he had on from before?
He is not wearing the jacket.
I'm going to pause the video here about halfway through. Now, do you have a chance to see the other half of his shirt here?
I do.
And do you recognize the logo on that shirt now that you see both halves?
Yes, it appears that it says Coors.
Press and play.
He had his hands in his pants. Look, a minute ago. It looks to me like they're walking up and down the aisle to figure out where the cameras are, and then he's blocking the camera and they're trying to shoplift. It's a good question of who has his jacket.
Mr. Job, you said that some of the cameras are very close. Is that some of the closest cameras that you had when you were working at Walmart to your person's face and features?
The only other close ones I would think of would be the entrance and the exits.
And is there also kind of a, let's say, a middle view as compared to kind of an eye in the sky for you? Is there one almost that's like in the middle where you get a little bit closer to the individual, but maybe it's not up on the ceiling?
Yes, there are some of those.
And specifically, do you have any like that that comes with a label called razor blades when it comes to your video?
Yes.
Why is it that Walmart keeps video footage over at the razor blade section?
It's just another aisle that's considered high risk.
I'd like to play one of the other tracks that you've provided, Razor Blades, again, December 30th, 2021, from 14:32:50 through 14:34:31. And ask you about this video. Is this that other view?
It is.
Can we see the same two people in this video?
We can.
I apologize, I was talking over that part. Start from the beginning again. Could you please let us know when you see them, and I will pause the video footage as we're playing back now.
I see them, and they're on the far left of the screen.
Could you please point out where they are in this image?
Yep.
Thank you. So play. Cosmetic section that we saw them walking through before, is that just to the left or the right of this camera footage?
It's to the left.
To the left. Okay. Do you see them again?
I do.
Please point out where they are on the screen. So down at the bottom center, coming up the aisle.
That's correct.
Where are the exits in relation to this aisle?
The exits?
Yeah.
So the general merchandise exit is just to the right of this camera view.
So it's pointing to like the top right off the screen.
Correct. So just past this aisle is the pharmacy, and then right after the pharmacy is a general merchandise exit.
And what about the grocery exit?
That's further down.
Same direction?
Correct.
And with regards to these two individuals, were you able to capture footage, or were you able to see footage that was captured of them exiting the store?
I was.
I'd like to specifically play, again, from the same exhibit, track that you provided entitled Exit Grocery, December 30th, 2021, from 14:36:25 through 14:36:34. You see the gentleman in the tan hat?
I do.
And can you describe what he's wearing at this point?
He is still wearing the tan hat and the Coors t-shirt.
And bring 2 more seconds in. You see the woman in the dark coat from before?
I do.
She's still wearing the dark coat.
She is.
With regards to all of the footage that's available on this particular drive, does it appear that she changes her appearance at all during the time that she's in the store?
It does not.
And other than the fact that he removes the dark colored jacket, does it appear that he changes his appearance other than the jacket?
It does not.
Do you know where that jacket went or where he placed it?
I do not.
And finally, back at the service desk monitor, 32 minutes in. You've reviewed all of this footage, is that correct, Mr. Doe?
I have.
And with regards to this, does this particular individual, the one in the light blue sweatshirt, stay there and finish a transaction before leaving?
She does.
Do you see her exit with the other two or not?
She does not. She actually exits a different door.
Mr. Doe, I'm going to end there. With regards to that and the other footage on there, once you had that provided, once you had that obtained, who did you provide it to the Manchester Police Department?
I don't recall if I gave it to an officer exactly or if I dropped it off at the front desk, but I know the video was for Detective Bergeron Rosa.
Other than the footage that we went through, I know you stated that there are additional moments in that footage of that you provided of them walking around the store. Is that correct?
Correct.
For what's been admitted as an exhibit here today, is there any additional footage of them closer up to the face, or what we see was as close as we could get?
That's as close as we could get.
Thank you. Just a moment, please, Ron. Thank you, Mr. Doe. I have no further questions for you. Defense counsel may have.
Okay.
Just excuse me, just briefly. For those that don't know what an Echo ATM is and how it works, you walk up to the machine with whatever you want to exchange, right?
That's correct.
And then you scan it, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you know the rest of it?
I don't know the entire process, no.
Okay. Okay. And have you seen? Never mind. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor. No. We'd ask for the witness to be excused, please.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, sir, you may step down. You are excused.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like this is just the right time to take a lunch break. So thank you for your attention this morning. We'll take a lunch break now, 1 hour, hopefully starting back in 1 hour. So please be back from lunch at 10 after 1. Okay, 10 after 1. Thank you, everybody. All rise for the jury. Right. Any preliminary matters we need to deal with?
Your Honor, just with regards to the state's next
You can be
wit-
seated. Sorry.
With regards to the state's next witness, we will ask if the lights can be dimmed as much as possible due to the medical condition that he is facing right now.
Any objection?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Let's surprise the jurors and let's really start at 10 after 1. If for any reason there's some issue that comes up during lunchtime and you want to see me, just let a court officer know or let someone know. They'll come get me. I'm available. Okay.
I will be reviewing another exhibit by the state that I have not seen. It is not about the next witness, and I'm sure the next witness will be a while, so it's nothing that needs to be brought up during lunch, but I don't know if I will have an issue or not.
If you do, let's try to if you do and you do and we can address it before we come back. I'd rather do that than try to do it when we're when we just have a short break. So if there's something that we can address that you have, then let me know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh yeah. Counsel, anybody needed for transport for tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Tuesday. Sorry.
Okay.
So they just talked about transport on Tuesday. I wonder if that's for Adam or for somebody else. But that is a good reminder. That is a good reminder that we do not have court on Monday. Monday is a holiday. So disorder in the court will also not be in session and taking a break. Yeah, it's a government holiday here. For those of you who are not in the States. So I'm curious about what what that video is going to be confirming. I'm sure somebody, I'm not exactly sure what we saw. You know what I mean? And if the video that Kathy was talking about was potentially of Adam basically trying to grab Kelsey by the neck and her trying to get away, that would be a prior bad act to a non-party in the case. So that's probably why they couldn't admit that. And I'm sure they tried to get it admitted, but it, by in some way, shape, or form, but they didn't. So this has definitely been a very interesting day of testimony. I mean, the last bit of watching that video was a little boring, but yeah, we just have to tell all the we have to tell all of the lawyers and people in there, but especially the lawyers, to step to the mic, man. But it is frustrating that this witness, who clearly was very scared and intimidated to come in court with all the cameras, was then outed by that very court before they were to decide what they were going to do with her. So they basically went out and arrested her to bring her in because there was an arrest warrant, a bench warrant made for her arrest to bring her to court. They brought her to court, marched her in full on camera. And, so it's really sloppy, and it just shows the very uncomfortable transition we're going through, and understanding all the risks of having a court, camera on all the time, and how to respond to that. It sounds to me like the judge in the Idaho 4 case is extremely conscious of that, because he has determined that he will be operating, it's his court and his YouTube page that will be operating the camera for that trial. So, when you have courts that are not as experienced in all this stuff, that, don't know when cameras should be turned off or turned away and things like that, it is. There, the thing that I noticed that this judge is best at is keeping things on time as much as possible. She's not a super imposing presence in the court, and it seems like she was giving Sally Jesse, Elaine Oriani, but all arrest Barbara, Barbara, she was giving her a slight reprimand for causing, everybody else, for causing them to start late last time. And so just to recap everything we've seen, basically we saw just a lot of testimony that confirms that Adam is a violent abuser. And that he told several people that he has a daughter, but she's in another place. That they're, so we have all kinds of corroborating, sometimes very emotional testimony that he beat Kayla. And jumping around a little bit in the footage that we just watched, we were seeing the people that we were seeing were Adam and Kayla and a girl named Kelsey. And this was after Harmony's disappearance, but I don't think she was reported yet. So my understanding is that Kelsey, the one in the black jacket that he was walking around in the cosmetic section, that was the girl he brought back with him from Maine. And apparently he and Kayla and Kelsey were all hanging out together. And then subsequently that girl, Kelsey, died of an overdose in a hotel room. So someone said yesterday, I forget who it was in the chat, that basically everything Adam touches goes to crap. And that's what it looks like to me. Anybody who's been around Adam has been negatively affected in some way, shape, or form, right? They were coerced into doing something they didn't know was helping him commit a crime. Or maybe sometimes they did know that he was committing a crime, but didn't quite understand how the depth of committing a crime. A lot of times, criminals, career criminals, they will rope in other criminals because they know that those criminals won't trust police, won't talk to police, and don't want to be snitched. But that's a dicey calculation to make, because other criminals also want to be let off of any charges that they could get, so they will snitch. Yes, the ramifications of being around him are unreal. So I'm gonna reschedule this for about 45 minutes from now, and we'll start back up again. Those of you asking about the case of Lana Oriani and her telecommunications harassment, she was in court yesterday. And my understanding is that what they were in court to do was for her to contest the charges on jurisdiction, and her request for that to be dismissed was denied, and they are moving forward with a jury trial in March. So that's my understanding. I don't know much more than that. I don't seek out any information that I can't get publicly. I don't contact witnesses. I don't contact people, even in true crime cases where I even when I wasn't a person who was victimized by somebody, I don't contact people to talk to them about their cases. I just cover them. So, yeah, Alex is talking about, I know when I left West Virginia 2 years ago, but I got in recovery about 5 years prior to that. Fentanyl was starting to be in certain dope, but nothing like now, thank God. And it's the first time I OD'd. But the difference in my hometown from when I was in high school to a couple years ago when I left seems like half of my graduating class is dead and the town is destroyed. It is just insane. It is just insane what is going on with this like fentanyl poisoning epidemic. all we can do is hope that our kids that are in, college or high school or whatever, even older, have it drilled into their heads not to freaking take drugs off the street. It could have anything in it. And I know you can test them, but still. I'm sorry to hear that, Pickle. I definitely have friends from my high school days that are dead as a result of drugs, but I know, but if it feels like people are dropping like flies these days. The drugs are just getting more and more poisonous. So anyway, I need to actually show, I have some special court clips to show. For those who became members and super chatted, I really appreciate it. Since we were just talking about the behavior of a certain person in court, let's show her. Let's wonder. Let's look at this and wonder: is this how she talked to the judge in court yesterday?
Because she couldn't file on me. I am going to advise you, Miss Oriani.
That's fine.
You do have the right not to incriminate yourself.
I do.
I don't know.
And I would not like to speak on anything that has to do with that.
Please talk.
Yep.
Thank you. Are you going to let me talk now? Are you going to interrupt me?
You can speak. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thanks for your permission.
This is your courtroom.
Oh man, that judge was pissed. That magistrate was pissed off.
Your Honor, I would like to sidebar here. Is this, Your Honor, sidebar?
There's no jury here.
Okay, well, that's
so
me.
You do a sidebar to keep a jury from hearing things, but there's no jury here. So
okay, then
if you have an objection, make an objection.
So you know that when that kind of method didn't work with the judge, next Oriani was going to move to this method with the judge.
Judge, you're so gorgeous, Miss Judge. I just have to tell you, you're gorgeous.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Oh man. Thank you for your permission to talk in my own court. A bit weak. Yeah, very weak. Very weak. Very weak. All right, one more. Just as a reminder, not to take everything so damn seriously.
Did I read that right?
You did.
Did I read that right?
You did, sir.
Did I read that right?
You continue to read them right, yes.
And
That's right, walk away, Renee. You can catch more flies with honey than you can with crazy. That's right. Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah. Even weight training things. Everything has stuff in it. You just never know. You just never know. And first of all, fentanyl is highly addictive. And second of all, it's deadly. So, all right. I'm going to end this now, and I will see you back here in about 45 minutes. Be good to each other, and thank you for being here. Goodbye.